6489, which is prohibited if the aircraft used has not had a 100-hour inspection or annual within the preceding 100 hours of time in service. A. Giving flight instruction for hire. B. Conducting any commercial operation. C. Carrying passengers, either for hire or not for hire. The correct answer is A. The Federal Aviation Regulations, FARs, impose certain requirements on aircraft maintenance to ensure the safety and airworthiness of the aircraft. One of these requirements is the 100-hour inspection or annual inspection, depending on the type of aircraft and its operating conditions. If an aircraft has not undergone either a 100-hour inspection or an annual inspection within the preceding 100 hours of time in service, certain limitations and restrictions apply to its operation. In the context of the question, if the aircraft used for flight operations has not had a 100-hour inspection or annual inspection within the preceding 100 hours, it is prohibited to provide flight instruction for hire. Flight instruction for hire refers to situations where a flight instructor is providing training or instruction to a person for compensation or hire. This restriction is in place to ensure that aircraft used for flight instruction are properly maintained and have undergone the required inspections to maintain their airworthiness. It helps to mitigate potential risks associated with operating an aircraft that has exceeded the prescribed maintenance intervals. It's important to note that while flight instruction for hire is prohibited in this scenario, other non-instructional flights or operations may still be permissible, depending on the specific regulations and requirements applicable to the aircraft and the nature of the operation. Therefore, if the aircraft used for flight operations has not had a 100-hour inspection or annual inspection within the preceding 100 hours of time in service, it is prohibited to provide flight instruction for hire. This restriction is in place to prioritize safety and ensure compliance with maintenance requirements for aircraft used in flight instruction. 6490. An aircraft operated for hire with passengers aboard has a 100-hour inspection performed after 90 hours in service. The next 100-hour inspection would be due after A. 90 hours. Time in service. B. 100 hours. Time in service. C. 110 hours. Time in service. The correct answer is B. The Federal Aviation Regulations, FARs, require that certain aircraft operated for hire, particularly those used in commercial operations, undergo a 100-hour inspection. This inspection helps ensure the continued airworthiness of the aircraft and the safety of the passengers aboard. In the given scenario, the aircraft, which is operated for hire with passengers aboard, has undergone a 100-hour inspection after 90 hours of time in service. The 100-hour inspection means that the aircraft must be inspected by a certified mechanic or inspection facility every 100 hours of time in service. Once the 100-hour inspection is completed at the 90-hour mark, the next 100-hour inspection will be due after an additional 100 hours of time in service. This means that the aircraft can continue operating for another 100 hours before the next 100-hour inspection becomes due. For example, if the 100-hour inspection is performed at 90 hours of time in service, the next 100-hour inspection would be due when the aircraft reaches 190 hours of time in service. It's important to note that the 100-hour inspection requirement is specific to certain types of operations and is separate from the annual inspection requirement. The 100-hour inspection applies to aircraft used for hire, flight instruction, and rental purposes, while the annual inspection is required for all certificated aircraft. Therefore, in the given scenario, after a 100-hour inspection is performed on an aircraft operated for hire with passengers aboard after 90 hours in service, the next 100-hour inspection would be due after 100 hours of time in service. This regular inspection cycle ensures the ongoing airworthiness and safety of the aircraft. 6485. Assuring compliance with directives is the responsibility of the A. FAA certificated mechanic. B. Pilot in command of the aircraft. C. Owner or operator of the aircraft. The correct answer is C. Assuring compliance with directives, including regulations, rules, and operational requirements, is an important responsibility in aviation. It ensures the safety, airworthiness, and legal compliance of an aircraft. In this context, the responsibility for assuring compliance with directives primarily rests with the owner or operator of the aircraft. The owner or operator of an aircraft is accountable for ensuring that the aircraft meets all applicable regulations and directives set forth by aviation authorities such as the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, or other regulatory bodies. This responsibility encompasses various aspects, including maintenance, inspections, record-keeping, and adherence to operational procedures. Compliance with directives involves staying up to date with the latest regulations and requirements, as they can change over time. It includes following airworthiness directives, ADs, service bulletins, manufacturer's recommendations, and other directives that may be issued to address safety concerns or operational considerations. While other individuals involved in aviation, such as FAA certificated mechanics or pilots in command, play crucial roles in ensuring compliance, the ultimate responsibility for compliance lies with the owner or operator of the aircraft. They are responsible for maintaining the overall airworthiness of the aircraft, ensuring that necessary inspections are conducted, necessary repairs and modifications are carried out, and all required documentation is in order. It is important for the owner or operator to have a comprehensive understanding of the applicable regulations, keep track of updates and revisions, and implement necessary measures to comply with directives. This helps ensure the safe and legal operation of the aircraft. Therefore, in the context of assuring compliance with directives, the primary responsibility lies with the owner or operator of the aircraft. They are responsible for understanding and adhering to the regulations and directives relevant to their aircraft, maintaining airworthiness, and ensuring the overall compliance of the aircraft with applicable requirements. 6487. If an aircraft's operation in flight was substantially affected by an alteration or repair, the aircraft documents must show that it was test-flown and approved for return to service by an appropriately rated pilot prior to being flown. A. With passengers aboard. B. For compensation or hire. C. By instructors and students. The correct answer is A. When an alteration or repair has a substantial impact on the operation of an aircraft during flight, it is necessary to ensure that the aircraft is thoroughly tested and approved for return to service before it can be flown with passengers aboard. The Federal Aviation Regulations, FARs, require that any substantial alteration or repair that affects the aircraft's flight characteristics, systems, or safety must undergo a test flight to verify the effectiveness and proper functioning of the alteration or repair. This test flight helps determine if the aircraft is airworthy and if it performs as intended after the modification or repair. Once the test flight is completed and the aircraft is deemed to be in a satisfactory condition, an appropriately rated pilot, who is qualified and authorized to operate the specific type of aircraft, must approve the aircraft for return to service. This pilot's approval signifies that the aircraft has undergone the necessary testing, and it is safe and suitable for flight with passengers aboard. It's important to note that this requirement primarily applies to aircraft that are operated for compensation or hire, meaning those used in commercial operations or when passengers are transported for a fee. The objective is to ensure the safety of the passengers who will be on board the aircraft. However, it is worth mentioning that even if an aircraft is not operated for compensation or hire, it is generally good practice to follow the same procedures and conduct a test flight and obtain approval from an appropriately rated pilot before flying with passengers aboard. This helps ensure the airworthiness and safety of the aircraft and provides confidence to the passengers and crew. Therefore, if an alteration or repair substantially affects the operation of an aircraft in flight, the aircraft documents must indicate that it was test-flown and approved for return to service by an appropriately rated pilot before it can be flown with passengers aboard. This procedure helps maintain safety standards and ensures the airworthiness of the aircraft. 6491. If an ATC transponder installed in an aircraft has not been tested, inspected, and found to comply with regulations within a specified period, What is the limitation on its use? A. Its use is not permitted. B. It may be used anywhere except in Class A and B airspace. C. It may be used for VFR flight, but not for IFR flight. The correct answer is A. An ATC, air traffic control, transponder is an electronic device installed in an aircraft that helps facilitate communication and surveillance between the aircraft and air traffic control facilities. It provides valuable information about the aircraft's identity, altitude, and other data to air traffic controllers, enhancing the overall safety and efficiency of air traffic management. To ensure the proper functioning and accuracy of an ATC transponder, regulatory authorities require that it undergoes periodic testing and inspection. The specific testing and inspection requirements for ATC transponders are outlined in the applicable regulations, such as those set forth by the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, in the United States. If an ATC transponder has not been tested, inspected, and found to comply with the regulations within the specified period, its use is not permitted. This limitation is in place to maintain the reliability and accuracy of the transponder's transmitted data. Without proper testing and inspection, there is a risk that the transponder may not function correctly or provide accurate information to air traffic control. It's important to note that the specific time period for testing and inspection can vary depending on the regulatory requirements of the country or region in which the aircraft operates. The duration between inspections and tests is typically determined based on factors such as the type of transponder, aircraft usage, and applicable regulations. In summary, if an ATC transponder installed in an aircraft has not been tested, inspected, and found to comply with regulations within the specified period, its use is not permitted. This limitation is in place to ensure the reliability, accuracy, and compliance of the transponder, ultimately enhancing the safety of air traffic operations.